Hey guys, welcome back to our video podcast. My name's John and this is Chris. Today we're going to be talking about deadlifting and how it affects our body. So Chris, is deadlifting dangerous?
Well, John, I think the answer to a lot of the questions we're going to be covering on this video podcast and probably answering from you guys is the actual answer is going to be it depends. And it very much depends on the individual and the circumstances that we're going to be talking about. But I think the simplest answer is that no, deadlifting is not dangerous. And the reason for that is that the deadlift is basically describing a basic primal movement pattern of bending down and lifting something up. And that is absolutely not dangerous, okay? If you are a sedentary person who has never sort of been in the gym, never done any sort of strength training or conditioning in your life, and you go to do, 100, 200 kilo, 1 RM deadlift on your first attempt, you know what, that's potentially dangerous for your body. But the deadlift as a basic primal movement pattern, as a basic exercise that can be adapted and modified, no, it is absolutely not dangerous when performed and prescribed correctly. So John, should the deadlift be reserved purely for athletes and weightlifters, or can we all be deadlifting?
I think the short answer to that is no, it shouldn't be reserved for athletes or weightlifters only, as most people can deadlift. Most people will be doing some variation of the deadlift in their daily activities, whether it's picking up a pen off the floor or picking up the laundry off the floor. Those are all deadlift variations that you don't find within a fitness setting. So what about people who experience pain during deadlifting, Chris? Should they push through that pain?
Once again, I think it comes back to that answer of it depends, but in general, no, people shouldn't be pushing through pain, okay? Let's take it back to what actually is pain and why do we get pain. So pain is an unpleasant sensory experience that we feel, okay, that our body produces in response to some sort of exercise, activity, position, whatever it may be that it doesn't like, okay? Pain severity doesn't necessarily correlate directly to tissue damage or to injury, but it is our body's sort of alarm system or warning bell to say, okay, we probably need to modify what we're doing in order to not further sensitize our tissues or cause any damage, okay? The deadlift in itself is a very, very modifiable exercise and one that we can progress or regress in a multitude of different ways to suit the individual, okay? And because of that reason, there's no use for us to be pushing through a type of the deadlift that's painful, because we can actually change it up and find some sort of modification that's going to be suitable to them, okay? I want to go back to that point about tissue damage. So experiencing pain doesn't necessarily mean that you are doing yourself damage. So if you do experience a little bit of pain or discomfort, in some circumstances it may be safe to continue, okay? But in the most part, you want to be comfortable doing any exercise, okay? And we're going to touch on some variations today and ways that we can modify the deadlift to be, pain-free and to be safe and comfortable for everyone.
Good. So how about those that actually experience specific low back pain? And some people say it's detrimental for your back, you shouldn't be deadlifting. What are your thoughts on that, Chris?
Yep, so once again, if you're experiencing low back pain at the time during your deadlift, it's probably best to be performing a deadlift that's going to be suitable to yourself, which may not be that exact style that you're experiencing pain in, okay? We want to modify it in a way that you can complete it pain-free, okay? In terms of the people that say it's detrimental to your back or they're worried about deadlifting for low back pain, well, there's actually no evidence to say that the deadlift is dangerous or harmful for your back. There is published scientific research and evidence out there to say that the deadlift is actually a fantastic rehabilitation tool in terms of decreasing pain and improving function in the long term for people who've had lower back pain, okay? That's something a lot of people don't realise, okay? And once again, it comes back to prescribing the exercise and moving in the right way. It's going to be right for the person. But I mean, in the whole, people with back pain and history of lower back pain should be deadlifting in some form. It is actually very, very effective in terms of their rehabilitation.
Great, let's move on to the modifications through the deadlifts. In terms of lower back pain being experienced during a deadlift, one of the most important things to take into consideration is the shear force placed on the lumbar spine. Shear force is essentially the amount of load placed on your spine due to the position of the bar in relation to your torso. In relation to the deadlift, this basically means that the closer you are to a horizontal torso position, the greater demand will be placed on your lower back. The closer you are towards a vertical torso position, the friendlier it will be on your lower back. This is the conventional deadlift. As you can see, the torso is very close to a horizontal position. This is not necessarily bad or dangerous, but there will be a subgroup of people who will not be able to tolerate it. One way to modify the conventional deadlift to reduce loading of the lumbar spine is the sumo deadlift variation. The sumo deadlift requires a wider leg stance and the arms being placed between your legs rather than outside of them. As you can see, this creates a more upright torso position and therefore reduces shear force on the lumbar spine. Individuals may be better suited to either the conventional or the sumo deadlift depending on other factors such as hip mobility, femur length and personal preference.
Another largely underutilized variation is the trap bar or the hex bar deadlift. This can further reduce lumbar shear force by creating an even more upright torso position than the conventional and the sumo. By being inside the bar rather than behind the bar, it allows our knees to translate forward, meaning more of the load will be taken on by our quads rather than the posterior chain. Another way to modify the deadlift is by adjusting the range of motion. Here we have a rack pull, which is performed in the same way as a conventional deadlift, but from a preset height using the safety bars. This is a great option for those learning the mechanics of a deadlift, those who don't have the required mobility to lift from the floor, or those rehabilitating a lower back or hip injury. An alternative to the safety bars is using blocks or bumper plates to achieve your desired barbell height and range of motion.
As mentioned earlier, deadlifting can and probably should be performed by most people when the appropriate variation is prescribed. This does not necessarily have to be done with a barbell. A regression of the barbell deadlift is simply lifting a kettlebell from a bench. This is also a great starting point in teaching this basic movement pattern, which can be performed by almost anyone. This does not have to be performed within a gym setting and can be executed at home using household objects such as a laundry basket or a bag. As you can see, there are a multitude of deadlift variations that can be performed to make this movement suitable for anyone. It is advisable to be working closely with a healthcare practitioner who has experience in lifting to determine the appropriate variation for you, considering your injury history and functional capacity.
So there you have it, guys. That is the deadlift in a nutshell. The deadlift is certainly not, despite popular belief, a dangerous exercise to be performed. When performed and prescribed correctly, the deadlift is something that can and probably should be performed in some capacity by everyone from all walks of life. If you do have any further questions, feel free to comment below. Hit us up at either CB Physiotherapy or Physio by John, or otherwise speak to your healthcare practitioner.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.
See you guys.